For most of human history, the Earth was shared with creatures so strange and powerful it's hard to believe they ever walked the same ground as us. Some were gentle giants, others terrifying predators, and many vanished long before the first cities rose. Their bones rest in stone, their names survive in legends, and their absence shaped the world we inherited. This is the iceberg of lost animals, an exploration from the familiar shadows of recent extinction to the forgotten depths of deep time. Level 1. The dodo, also known as the draught, is one of the most infamous examples of how human carelessness can wipe out a species. It lived on just one island, Mauritius, a real paradise. Warm seas, sunshine all year round, fruit everywhere, and no predators. In that peaceful world, the dodo evolved into a large, flightless bird with strong legs and a hooked beak. It had no fear of humans, simply because it didn't know what danger was, and that made it easy prey. When Portuguese sailors first landed in the 16th century, they were exhausted from long sea voyages. They didn't hesitate. They caught the birds and ate them. Even though the meat tasted awful, they kept hunting. Later, more people came, and they quickly realized how easy it was to catch a dodo. It couldn't fly, it didn't think fast, and all it took was to corner it. The Dutch gave it nicknames: lazy, fat-bottomed, maybe even stupid. Some were brought to Europe, but none survived the trip. The biggest damage, though, came from animals the settlers brought with them. Dogs and cats raided nests. Sheep and cows trampled plants vital to the local ecosystem. Trees were cut down, leaving the dodos without shelter or nesting grounds. In less than 100 years after humans arrived, the dodo was gone. Megatheriums were true giants of the past. The name, from Greek, means huge beast, and that says it all. These prehistoric ground sloths lived in South and parts of North America from about 5 million to 12,000 years ago. They vanished alongside many other megafauna at the end of the last ice age, most likely due to primitive human hunting. Slow, massive, and utterly defenseless against armed humans wielding throwing spears, Megatheriums were easy prey. They were among the largest land mammals of their time, up to 6 meters long and weighing as much as 4 tons. They moved mainly on their hind legs, using a powerful tail as a third support. Standing upright, they were taller than elephants, an impressive sight. Herbivorous, they used enormous front claws up to 17 centimeters long to pull down branches. Their triceps muscle structure resembled that of predators, allowing quick, powerful blows, likely for defense. Some hypothesize partial omnivory, but their teeth suggest a plant-based diet. The marsupial wolf, or Thylacine, is one of Australia's most tragic losses. The last member of the Thylacinid family and a unique predator, it lived in Tasmania until the 1930s. Not only was it a large marsupial carnivore, it's a prime example of convergent evolution. Although not a true wolf, it resembled a dog with a long snout, slender body, and erect ears. Its back bore stripes, earning it the nickname Tasmanian tiger. Size-wise, it was about that of a medium dog, with a stiff tail similar to a kangaroo's, and both males and females had pouches. The Thylacine was a nocturnal hunter, relying on hearing and sight, capable of opening its jaws unusually wide, almost 80 degrees, to intimidate. Though reputed fierce, it was actually shy and secretive. The last wild Thylacine was killed in 1930. The final captive died in Hobart Zoo in 1936, just 100 years after Europeans arrived on the island. Thylacines were widely blamed for attacks on livestock, leading to bounties, but later studies showed their jaws were too weak for such prey. The real threats were feral dogs and foxes introduced by humans, alongside disease, deforestation, and hunting. Attempts to save the species came too late. The Thylacine's uniqueness lay in its isolated evolution, occupying in Australia the ecological niche filled by wolves elsewhere. Though genetically unrelated, nature crafted similar predators with analogous traits. Yet no resemblance saved the Thylacine from human indifference. The passenger pigeon Ectopistes migratorius was once the most abundant bird in North America, possibly numbering between 3 and 5 billion. They traveled in colossal, tight-knit flocks so dense they would darken the sky and break branches under their weight while roosting. Their plumage was a mix of bluish-gray, with males showing iridescent bronze, green, and purple hues on the neck. Females were duller. They fed mostly on nuts, seeds, acorns, chestnuts, beechnuts, berries, and sometimes insects. Because they relied on massive colonies to breed successfully, once their numbers dropped too low, they couldn't reproduce effectively. The last known individual, Martha, died in the Cincinnati Zoo on September 1, 1914, marking the extinction of the species. Efforts to save the species failed partly because of its communal breeding habits. It couldn't thrive in small, isolated groups. Their demise was driven by relentless commercial hunting, habitat destruction, especially deforestation, and the very social nature that once ensured their survival. The Chinese paddlefish, or Cephurus gladius, represents one of the most mysterious and tragic losses in freshwater fauna. This giant predatory fish was endemic to the Yangtze River. It could reach lengths of 3 meters and weigh up to 300 kilograms. Rumors spoke of specimens up to 7 meters and half a ton, though unconfirmed. The cipher was recognizable by its long snout, occupying up to a third of its body, covered with sensitive receptors to detect prey. Unlike the American paddlefish, which filters plankton, it hunted other fish and eel-like creatures. It had almost no scales, a long heterocircle tail, and small, round eyes. This river giant was solitary, only gathering in schools to spawn. Females matured around age 10 and could lay up to 1 million eggs per season. Lifespan was likely up to 50 years. Its meat and roe were delicacies, often presented at the imperial court. In the 20th century, massive fishing began the decline. The mid-century construction of dams on the Yangtze blocked migration routes. Pollution worsened and numbers plummeted. By the 1980s, sightings were rare. By early 2000s, catching one was a sensation. The last confirmed record was in 2003, a 3.5-meter female caught and released. No juveniles had been seen since 1995. Scientists tried to save the species. Thousands of nets were set, hoping to find any cipher. Plans for captive breeding and even cloning failed. No live specimens remained. In 2020, extinction was officially confirmed. No tissue samples exist for revival. Glyptodon was a true tank of the ancient world. This massive armored mammal, resembling a giant armadillo, roamed South America from the Pleistocene until about 12,000 years ago. Measuring up to 2 meters long and weighing nearly 400 kilograms, it was formidable but no match for humans. Glyptodon belonged to an extinct group of herbivorous armored mammals, the Glyptodontines. Its body was covered by a tough shell made of fused bony plates called osteoderms. These armored plates also protected its head and tail. Inside this mobile fortress hid a brain smaller and less complex than that of modern armadillos, occupying only a small part of the skull. The best-known species, Glyptodon clavips, was first described by Richard Owen in 1839. For a long time, scientists confused Glyptodon fossils with Megatheriums, thinking they were the same animal, just armored. Only by the late 19th century did it become clear they were distinct evolutionary branches, formidable herbivorous armored beasts. The shell consisted of hundreds of bony plates fused into an almost monolithic shield. This armor was not only strong but also complex. Different zones varied in shape, density, and ornamentation. The tail was especially unique, covered with movable rings of osteoderms that tapered toward the end. Glyptodons fed on grasses, shrubs, and low-lying plants. They had broad, blunt noses, typical of animals adapted to coarse, bulky diets. They lived at forest edges and open savannas, where vegetation was abundant, but predators could be spotted in time. Predators included saber-toothed cats, giant bears like Arctotherium, and more. Despite their armor, Glyptodons were vulnerable. Native Americans quickly learned their weaknesses: slow movement and limited neck flexibility. Evidence shows humans hunted Glyptodons and even used their shells as shelters or dwellings. Glyptodons fell victim to the Great Megafaunal Extinction, a global event wiping out many giant species. Level 2. Golden Toad. The golden toad symbolized the vanishing amphibians. Bright orange and toy-like, it lived only in a tiny patch of Costa Rica's Monteverde cloud forests, less than 4 square kilometers. Discovered in 1964, it disappeared forever by 1989. One of the most remarkable creatures. Males shone bright orange, like jewels against the damp forest, while females were black with yellow, green, and red stripes. Every April, with the first rains, the amphibians emerged from burrows to mate in pools among tree roots. Sometimes over 100 pairs gathered in one small pond. Females laid up to 400 eggs in weeks, but only a few survived. In 1987, American herpetologist Martha Crump witnessed golden toad mating and called it one of the most stunning sights of her life. But 5 days later, pools dried, eggs got moldy and rotted. From tens of thousands of eggs, just 29 tadpoles survived. The last male was sighted in 1989, alone and never seen again. In 2004, the species was officially declared extinct. Its demise had multiple causes: climate change, the deadly fungal disease chytridiomycosis, drought from unstable climate, and air pollution. Likely, these combined into a fatal trap for this vulnerable species. Steller sea cow is one of humanity's most infamous victims. A huge, slow, utterly harmless creature and the last of its kind, it lived near the Commander Islands. Russian explorers of the 18th century regarded it as a marvel, but just 27 years after discovery, it vanished forever. Its range was once broader, from atolls near Japan, but after the last ice age and possibly early human hunters, it survived only near the commanders. Described by Georg Steller in 1741, it reached 8–9 meters long and weighed up to 10 tons. Its skin was as thick as tree bark, with calloused pads and keratin plates instead of teeth to tear and grind seaweed. It couldn't dive, spending almost all its time grazing in underwater meadows. They were social, caring for young, even trying to protect injured members. Humans sealed its fate. The population encountered by explorers was already near extinction. Genetic studies in 2021 revealed severe inbreeding. Its doom was sealed even before people arrived. Instead of conservation, humans finished it off. Over just a few decades, the last 2,000 individuals were slaughtered with spears, pikes, and dragged ashore. Its meat was salty, fat had an almond flavor, perfect for lamps. Only one record of mass slaughter exists, by Pyotr Yakovlevich, but no answers followed. When sea cows disappeared, the Commander Islands' ecosystem changed. Algae grew unchecked, disrupting nutrient cycles and affecting everything from mollusks to corals. Rumors of unknown sea creatures near Anadyr, the Aleutiansky Islands, and Kamchatka surfaced but remain unproven. Helicoprion is one of the most mysterious prehistoric fish. Its remains were first found in Russia's Perm region in 1897, a toothed spiral so odd it was initially mistaken for a mollusk shell. Later, it was identified as part of a prehistoric predator's mouth from over 250 million years ago. Helicoprion resembled a perch and could reach 7 meters in length. Its hallmark was a spiral under the lower jaw made of sharp sickle-shaped teeth, like a circular saw. How this tooth grinder worked remains debated. The leading theory: the spiral helped grasp slippery prey and push it into the throat by twisting and propelling the body forward. It also served tooth replacement. Old teeth moved inward, new ones grew outward. Helicoprion likely hunted soft-bodied prey, fish and cephalopods. Its teeth were not designed for crushing bones or shells. Remarkably, this ancient predator survived the first catastrophic extinction, a devastating event wiping out up to 95% of marine life. Helicoprion remains an enigma, leaving only spiral traces in the rocks. Castoroides ohioensis was a giant beaver species that lived across North America during the Pleistocene. It grew to about 2.7 m long, including a ~1 m tail, making it one of the largest rodents ever. Its first fossils appeared in 1837 in a peat bog in Ohio, hence its name Ohioensis. Unlike modern beavers, it likely didn't build dams. Its teeth were huge, up to 15 cm, but less adapted for cutting wood. Its diet consisted mostly of aquatic plants, not trees. As ice ages ended and wetlands shrank, its populations faded. By years ago, it became extinct. In Native American legends, it was sometimes described as so fearsome it could eat people. Stories telling how a hero subdued it still echo in folklore. Toxodonts were massive South American herbivores resembling rhinos but unrelated to them. Measuring over 2.5 meters long and weighing up to 2 tons, they roamed the continent from the late Miocene to the end of the Pleistocene, surviving until the arrival of the first humans. Barrel-shaped bodies, short, powerful legs with 3 toes each. Forward-pointing horns likely helped strip leaves, and teeth and bone structure indicated a plant diet. Skull anatomy suggests they spent much time in water like hippos. Despite size and adaptability to environments from tropical forests to open savannas, Toxodonts did not survive. Their fiercest enemy wasn't a predator like Smilodon, though it was dangerous. The greatest threat was humans. It's believed hunting by people arriving in the Americas about 12,000 years ago caused their extinction. A close relative, Mixotoxodon, lived in northern and Central America but met the same fate. The pig-footed bandicoot is a nearly forgotten creature, lost in the shadow of more famous victims of human expansion. A small marsupial native to Australia, it symbolizes how even the most inconspicuous species can vanish within decades. It lived in semi-deserts, savannas, and grasslands, favoring dry, hot areas. Its odd appearance, short pointed snout, long ears, and unusually thin legs, especially hind ones, gave it its name. It looked like a cross between a jerboa, kangaroo, and hedgehog. Its fur was coarse but not spiky. Back was brown, belly white, tail long and black on top. Slightly bigger than a guinea pig, body up to 26 cm, tail up to 14 cm. It hid in burrows by day, hunted at night, eating everything from roots and seeds to insects. It reproduced slowly, only 2 offspring per litter once a year. First described in the 19th century, last seen alive in 1907 near Lake Eyre. Rumors of survival into the 1930s or even 40s in remote West-South Australia exist but lack proof. Causes of extinction: habitat destruction, introduced predators brought by Europeans, which wiped out millions of small animals. The pig-footed bandicoot was no exception. The sea mink is a vanished creature known only from fragments. It lived along North America's Atlantic coast, mainly in Maine and possibly eastern Canada. A predator hiding among coastal rocks and islands, it shared the fate of many fur-bearing mammals. Larger than its closest relative, the American mink, its reddish soft fur was coarser but more prized by hunters. This fur brought its demise. Living in a narrow coastal strip, hiding among boulders, the mink was easy prey and was hunted relentlessly. By the late 19th century, between 1860 and 1890, the species was extinct. Scientists barely studied it. The sea mink was described posthumously in 1903 from skull fragments found in Native American kitchen middens. Initially thought a subspecies of the American mink, dental and size differences later confirmed it as a separate species. The Guam Flying Fox was a vanished species of megabat native to Guam and the Marianas. A small mammal weighing about 150 grams with a wingspan up to 70 centimeters. Its coloration ranged from brown to golden, with a dark brown throat and lighter back. It resembled miniature flying bears. Little is known about its behavior and ecology. Only a few museum specimens collected in 1931 and 1968. By mid-20th century, Guam flying foxes became rare. Locals hunted them for meat, and later an invasive brown snake introduced by humans devastated many native species. The last official individual was caught in 1968. A 1987 expedition found only the larger Marianas flying foxes. The Guam flying fox disappeared forever, leaving just a couple of museum skulls. The cave lion was one of the most formidable and mysterious predators of the Ice Age. This pantherine giant roamed Eurasia, from Europe to Siberia, larger than nearly all modern cats. Some call it the tiger lion, reflecting its blend of traits. Lions appeared in Europe about 700,000 years ago, but the cave lion, known from cave paintings and fossils, lived roughly 100,000 to 10,000 years ago. It measured up to 2 meters long, excluding the tail, and weighed over 300 kilograms. Eastern Siberian cave lions reached North America, becoming ancestors of the American lion. Ancient cave art, like in Shovot Cave, shows lions without manes, suggesting they had none or very modest ones. Their fur was likely uniform, and mummified cubs found in Yakutia had thick undercoats, adaptations to harsh cold. Despite the name, cave lions used caves only occasionally for illness or old age. Most remains are found there. They hunted wild horses, bison, deer, and sometimes attacked cave bears. Evidence suggests they lived in prides, cared for injured members, and shared kills. However, they were vulnerable. A limited diet, warming climate, and early humans gradually pushed them out. Cave lions went extinct about 10,000 years ago, with the last living in the Caucasus and Near East. Today, their DNA is classified as a lion subspecies with strong Arctic adaptations. They were true kings of cold steppes, vanishing with the Mammoth era. Level 3. Procoptodonts were giants among kangaroos, once bounding across ancient Australia's deserts. An extinct genus, especially Procoptodon goliath, a true Pleistocene megafauna monster, reaching up to 3 meters tall and weighing 230 kilograms. The largest kangaroos in Earth's history. Despite their size, they likely moved by hopping like modern relatives but had heavier builds, huge hind feet with a single massive toe, naturally hoof-like, and strong forelimbs with long claws. Their snout was short, eyes forward-facing, unusual for herbivores, possibly to help spot danger. They fed on tough, dry vegetation in Australian semi-deserts and shrublands, grinding it with powerful jaws. They vanished about 40,000 years ago, maybe later. As usual, humans and climate change were the main extinction drivers. Aboriginal myths mention a huge, long-armed creature reminiscent of Procoptodon, once far more numerous than today's red kangaroos. Indricotherium was a giant seemingly straight from ancient legends, one of the largest land mammals ever to exist. Imagine a creature as long as a bus, as tall as a 2-story house, weighing up to 24 tons. These were Indricotheres, hornless rhinos with long necks and massive bodies, roaming from Kazakhstan to China 30 to 20 million years ago. They fed on leaves, branches, and grasses, stretching their necks high to reach tree canopies, prehistoric giraffes and rhinos. Despite their size and power, Indricotheres were peaceful herbivorous giants. They lived in swampy forests and dry semi-deserts, remarkably adaptable to various environments. Their extinction is linked to competition from more advanced herbivores like true giraffes and short-legged rhinos, which outcompeted them for food. Climate and ecosystem changes also played a role. Even titans could not withstand them. The animal's name derives from Indrik, the mythical beast of Slavic folklore. It truly resembled a legendary giant, with traces leading deep into prehistory when colossal creatures, heavier than adult tyrannosaurs, roamed Asia. Deinosuchus was the dinosaur-era crocodile from hell. It lived in the Cretaceous period about 83 million years ago, a steroid-enhanced crocodile. Measuring 10-12 meters long and weighing over 8 tons, its bite strength surpassed any modern animal and many dinosaurs, including Tyrannosaurus rex. A true wrecking machine, it could crush marine turtle shells and break large dinosaur bones. It looked like a crocodile. Short legs, flat body, powerful jaws, and rows of spines on its back. It grew for a long time, retaining the ability to increase size, making it especially dangerous. Fossils are found throughout the U.S. and northern Mexico on both sides of the ancient inland sea. Eastern forms were smaller, around 8 meters, while western ones were monsters, possibly exceeding 12 meters. It's the closest relative of today's alligator, though not its direct ancestor. Scientists debate whether all fossils belong to one species or two, Deinosuchus rugosus and the western giant Deinosuchus. Unlike the more selective Tyrannosaurus, Deinosuchus was an opportunistic predator, eating everything from fish to large reptiles. It lived in shallow waters at river mouths, ambushing prey like modern crocodiles. It was the super predator of its time, unrivaled in coastal ecosystems. If we lived in the Cretaceous, approaching water would be more dangerous than facing velociraptors. The bulldog rat vanished quickly and quietly, known today only to specialists and zoology enthusiasts. It lived solely on Christmas Island in the Indian Ocean, resembling a mix of a common rat and a sumo wrestler. Massive body, powerful legs with large claws, a 2-centimeter layer of fat on its back, a short tail with a waxy hue and triangular shape. By day it hid under tree roots or inside old trunks, emerging at night to forage for plant food. It didn't climb trees or flee upwards. Ground and forest were its only refuge. It lived in small colonies, led a peaceful life, and bred year-round. When humans arrived, everything changed. In the late 19th century, miners came to extract phosphates, bringing black rats carrying 3 parasite species to which the bulldog rat had no resistance. An epizootic outbreak followed, and by 1903, the species was gone, silently, without struggle or witnesses. The laughing owl, or laughing jackass, is a sad reminder of even the fiercest predators' fragility in a changing world. Strange birds living on wooded New Zealand hills. Though capable of flight, they preferred walking. They had a distinctive voice, not hoots or screeches, but an eerie rasping laugh inspiring their name. Up to 40 cm long, strong legs, mottled plumage. They fed on small animals and insects, nesting directly on the ground, a fatal mistake. With European arrival came irreversible changes. Deforestation introduced predators like cats and stoats and hunting. By the late 19th century, populations sharply declined. The last confirmed specimen was found dead in 1914. In the 20th century, there were alleged sightings, but these were mere echoes of the vanished laughter in New Zealand's forests. The Jamaican Red Macaw is a hypothetical extinct parrot species that likely lived on Jamaica. Its story revolves around a single bird shot around 1765. Later, a specimen was seen by Dr. Robertson and described by ornithologist Philip Henry Goss in 1847, who published the species description. Excerpt: the upper bill was black, upper half ash gray, lower black with an ash tip. Forehead, crown, and back of the head were bright yellow. Around the eyes and front side of the neck from the back were a beautiful scarlet color. Wing coverts were red, primary feathers light blue. Legs and feet black, tail a mix of red and yellow. Robertson noted he'd never seen anything like it and found no illustrations in literature. The 1765 illustration presumably depicts this bird, but doubts remain. It might have been an introduced Cuban macaw. Some 19th century naturalists believed the Jamaican and Cuban macaws were the same species. Nonetheless, in 1905, Walter Rothschild classified it as a distinct species, remaining an ornithological mystery. The woolly mammoth is one of the most famous and studied extinct Ice Age animals. Appearing about 450,000 years ago, widespread across Eurasia and North America, it adapted to severe cold. It became a symbol of the last glacial period, when vast ice sheets covered much of the planet. Contrary to popular belief, woolly mammoths were not giants compared to modern elephants, about 3.5 meters tall and weighing up to 8 tons. Unique adaptations: thick fur up to 80 cm in winter, fat layers up to 10 cm, short ears and legs, helped retain heat. Long, curved tusks aided in digging through snow and ice for food. Their diet included grasses, branches, and leaves. They ate up to 180 kg of vegetation daily, constantly moving to find food. They lived in family groups led by older females, while adult males were solitary except during mating. They endured cycles of cold and warming, expanding and contracting their range. Around 15,000 years ago, populations declined due to climate change, warmer and wetter conditions destroying tundra steppe vegetation. Human hunting intensified. Even low hunting pressure was enough to cause extinction over a few thousand years. The last mammoths lived on islands like Rangel, surviving until about 4,000 years ago. Isolated island populations suffered from inbreeding and deteriorating conditions. Thus, climate change, human pressure, and genetic decline combined in their extinction. The aurochs, or wild ox, is one of the most iconic animals lost in historic times due to humans. For millennia, it roamed steppes and forest steppes of Europe, Asia, and North Africa. Impressive in size, almost 2 meters tall at the shoulder and over 800 kg. Males sported strong forward-curving horns and black coats with a white dorsal stripe. Females and young were lighter and reddish. Aurochs were strong and aggressive, with virtually no natural enemies. They fed on grass, leaves, and shoots. In summer, they preferred open steppes. In winter, they moved into forests, forming large herds. Their history is closely linked to humans. Ancient hunters depicted them in cave art. Aurochs were the ancestors of domestic cattle. By the Middle Ages, numbers dwindled sharply due to deforestation and hunting in Europe. By the 15th century, they survived only in remote Eastern European areas protected by law. Measures came too late. The last population in Polish forests declined rapidly and lost genetic diversity. The last known aurochs died in 1627. The Chinese black dolphin, or Baiji, is a heartbreaking example of recent human-driven extinction. Unique animals that diverged millions of years ago from other river dolphins, they adapted to the murky waters of the Yangtze River and nearby lakes in central China. Distinctive pale bluish-gray coloration, light belly, and a dorsal fin resembling a small flag. Living in turbid water, they developed strong echolocation. They had elongated, slender beaks to dig out eels, catfish, and mollusks. First mentioned during the Han Dynasty, Baiji were revered locally as river deities, protecting them from persecution. However, in the latter half of the 20th century, rapid industrialization, intense shipping traffic, fishing nets, and pollution drastically reduced their numbers. The construction of the gigantic Three Gorges Dam sealed their fate by blocking migration paths. Despite conservation efforts, the species did not survive. The last known male, Tati, died in captivity in 2002. Expeditions in 2006 and 2012 found no individuals. Though not officially declared extinct, chances of finding living Baiji are nearly zero. Level 4. Endoceras. Endoceras was one of the oldest and most impressive inhabitants of ancient seas, living about 450 million years ago during the Ordovician period. Its name means internal horn in Greek, reflecting the shape of its long conical shell housing the animal's body. This cephalopod astonished with its size. Adults could reach 8 meters, ranking among the largest creatures of their time. They ruled marine realms, topping the food chain. Their main prey were trilobites and sea scorpions, caught thanks to high speed and agility. Fossils are found worldwide, from Canada and the US to Russia and Iran. In Russia's Leningrad region, locals mistook them for human vertebrae, attributing them to Civil War events. Though resembling better-known Mesozoic marine predators like belemnites, Endoceras lived much earlier and was larger. Its closest relative was Camarasaurus, a more massive predator, but Endoceras differed in size and shell internal structure. Megalodon is a legendary and enigmatic inhabitant in Earth's history. A giant ocean predator dominating millions of years ago during the Oligocene and Pliocene epochs. Its Latin name, Phorusrhacos megalodon, means giant tooth, a fitting name though scientific debates about its classification have lasted decades. Visually, Megalodon resembled a colossal great white shark with a massive body and jaws capable of biting through nearly any prey. Its size was staggering, up to 15 meters long and weighing over 40 tons. Imagine a shark the size of a bus, able to crush whale ribs and turtle shells with a single bite. Bite force is estimated at 10 tons, one of the strongest in planetary history. Medieval people found huge teeth, mistaking them for fossilized dragon tongues. In the 18th century, Niels Stenson proved they were shark teeth. The largest teeth reached nearly 20 cm long. Megalodon was not only enormous but highly successful. Fossils have been found worldwide, from Europe and North America to Australia and Japan. It thrived in open oceans and shallow waters. Some finds suggest it ventured into freshwater rivers. About 2.6 million years ago, Megalodon suddenly vanished. The main causes were global climate shifts and competition with modern toothed whales like orcas, which were faster, smarter, and hunted cooperatively. Arthropleura was a true prehistoric giant among invertebrates, a millipede-like creature up to 2.6 meters long and weighing 50 kg, the largest known invertebrate in Earth's history. It lived about 300 million years ago during the Carboniferous and early Permian periods, times when atmospheric oxygen reached nearly 50% higher than today. This allowed such creatures to reach colossal sizes. The absence of vertebrate predators also favored gigantism. Its body consisted of many segments, flat like an armored war machine. It moved on 30 pairs of legs, leaving deep tracks preserved to this day. Recent finds in France revealed details of its head: stalked eyes, short antennae, a complex nervous system but no predatory claws, supporting the idea that young arthropleuras were detritivores. Gut contents show diets mostly of club mosses, ferns, and tropical plants, though some think adults may have been omnivorous, consuming small animals. Medium-sized individuals could eat up to a ton of vegetation annually. An unusual find was ancient plant pollen on its limbs, possibly indicating a primitive role in pollination. With the Permian's onset, climate shifted, oxygen declined, and the first large vertebrate predators appeared. The era of giant invertebrates ended with Arthropleura. Phorusrhacos were predators that didn't need wings to reign. About 12 million years ago, South America was an island isolated from the world. The continent became a stage for unique evolution. While mammals dominated elsewhere, giant flightless birds ruled here, among them a true titan. Phorusrhacos longissimus reached 3 meters tall and weighed up to 300 kg, resembling an overgrown ostrich but was a hunter. Its long legs allowed speeds up to 50 km/h, making it a lightning-fast chaser. Its massive skull, up to 70 cm long with a curved beak, was a lethal weapon capable of crushing bones and piercing armor. Its wings were reduced but bore claws, possibly to hold prey or defend itself. It ran on 2 central toes like dromaeosaurs, enhancing agility. Its beak functioned like an axe, striking heads and necks to stun prey. Sometimes it threw victims to the ground, breaking bones. Its diet included hoofed mammals called nodo ungulates, armadillos, and even marsupial tiger cubs. It was a fearsome loner, but competition existed. By the late Miocene, other predators, Titanes, arrived northward. Phorusrhacos was both hunter and ecosystem scavenger, cleaning carcasses and preventing disease spread. Bite marks on bones show it often reached carrion first, competing with scavengers. But nothing lasts forever. About 3 million years ago, the Panamanian land bridge opened, enabling the Great American Biotic Interchange. Saber-toothed cats, wolf-like canids, and bears flooded South America. They were more organized, agile, and partially pack hunters. Megalodons could fend off lone Phorusrhacos from kills, while scavengers like hyenas fought over scraps. Climate cooled, forests thinned, and savannas spread, ideal ambush terrain deadly to tall open country birds. Isotope analysis of bones shows that in their last millennia, Phorusrhacos shifted to less nutritious diets, their numbers declined, and the species vanished. The last large titanicids disappeared in North America about 1.8 million years ago. Smaller species like Helicoprion survived in South America until the late Pleistocene, about 100,000 years ago. Humans likely dealt the final blows through hunting, habitat destruction, and competition. Phorusrhacos exemplifies convergent evolution. Like Jurassic dinosaurs or Cenozoic mammalian predators, it filled the top predator niche with grace and efficiency. Recent 2023 Argentine track findings show it didn't just run. It controlled its body like a predatory theropod, a killer on two legs. This marked the end of an era when birds ruled terrestrial ecosystems. Chalicotherium's family Chalicotheriidae were bizarre herbivores from the Miocene and Pliocene, strange cousins of horses, rhinos, and tapirs, but unlike anything alive today. They had long forelimbs and short hind limbs, often walking on their knuckles, giving them a sloping, gorilla-like posture. Their claws were huge and curved, not for killing, but likely for pulling down branches and stripping foliage. Skulls often bore small horns or domed crests. Some species had elongated faces, others short and broad. They lived in forests and woodlands across Eurasia, Africa, and North America, browsing on leaves, soft shoots, and fruits. While not fast runners, they could rear up on hind legs to reach higher branches, using claws like giant forks. Chalicotheriums dwindled by the Pleistocene, their odd body plan poorly suited to open grasslands, and competition from more efficient herbivores sealed their fate. That's it for today's journey into the iceberg of lost animals. If you've got ideas for future icebergs, drop them down in the comments. I read them all. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. See you in the next video.